Hey Gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk, a discussion about all things automotive. I'm Cory.
And I'm Matt. And each week this podcast will serve as a catalyst for discussion on all sorts of topics that grind our gears, rev our engines, or just need an extra bit of conversation.
And on this week's episode, we are going to be talking road trips. Some of our best memories from road trips, some of the best cars, vehicle types for road trips, going back into our playlist episode, maybe some music.
Yeah.
Some great destinations. So we're based here in Tyler, Texas, but there's some great road trip destinations around here. But as always, this is a conversation that starts between Matt and myself, but we really want it to be between all of us. That includes you, our listener, and we want to hear back from you on all things that we talk about in each and every episode. And you can do that through our social media platforms. You can pick us up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We are all at GT Garage Talk, or you can go to our website and find many different ways to get a hold of us, including our social media. But our website is gtgaragetalk.com, and you can track us down and let us know some of your best road trip memories, some of your best road trip destinations, and some of the best vehicles you've ever taken a road trip in. Because while we've driven a lot of things, we have by no means even scratched the surface of some of the great vehicles out there in the world that have been made or will be made.
Yeah.
So, road trips, memories, cars. What do you want to talk about first, Matt?
Let's start with the vehicles. Let's start with like rigs that we've taken on road trips, but also rigs that we'd love to take on a road trip.
Okay.
I have one personally that has been wonderful. It's actually the rig that we own right now, our 2012 Pilot. We took just a little mini road trip, a couple hours down the road here to Lake Limestone this past weekend. Pulled a jet ski with the Pilot, which normally I wouldn't recommend just because of the transmission issues up through 2012. But the car does great. We bought the tow package for it. It already had a hitch, but it needed the wiring stuff, and it actually comes with its own little module. So it changes some of the shift points and the throttle response and things like that. It does an incredible job pulling, even if it is 1,200 pounds worth. It does a great job pulling that. Very much enjoy that rig. And we have plenty of room for the boys. We have plenty of room for our stuff.
So my parents have a 2012, I believe it is, Pilot as well, and I actually drove it this weekend as well. 45 minutes to an hour northwest to my in-laws. We had a birthday get-together for my wife and her sisters, a whole family getting together, and yes, it is a good just cruising vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
Not a whole lot exciting about it.
No.
But for a road trip, you just want something comfy.
Right.
And roomy.
Right.
And preferably pretty good gas mileage.
And it really does well.
Yeah.
I've eked out as much as 27 miles to the gallon out of that Pilot. And the crazy thing about that was through the hills of South Arkansas.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, I was riding some hills now.
Yeah.
I mean, like picking up speed at the bottom of the hills with a little bit of throttle input, and then kind of halfway coasting up the hills so that I can, I was working those hills trying to maximize the fuel economy, and it was up there. I mean, I was still running between 55 and 70 for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah, 26, 27 miles to the gallon out of it.
I laugh because my daily driver gets that every day. So, gotta love the Cruise Eco.
Oh, yeah.
With a 6-speed manual.
Yep,
So, I can milk that thing for 28 plus in the city.
Oh, yeah.
And on a good week, 33. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 more cylinders and 2.5 times more displacement and way more room in the rig. Yeah. Let's put the jet ski behind your car and try that out. See how that works.
I wouldn't go much of anywhere.
Oh, we're gonna have to get a picture of that just to see what it would look like.
It would take forever until that turbo kicks in for me to actually get moving.
Oh yeah.
Gotta love turbo lag. So one of my favorite vehicles that I've owned for long trips, again, kind of goes back to that roomy, comfortable, was my 07 Silverado Crew Cab.
Oh, yeah.
2-wheel drive. We talked about it on a previous episode. Just the crazy lengths car makers are going through to eke out 1, 2, 3 mpg
Yep.
extra out of vehicles, but V8 rear-wheel drive, and I would get over 20 on the highway on that thing, and
Yeah.
it was an '07, like
Yep.
before we got like stupid, insane, crazy with fuel economy and
Right.
trying to just get every little bit out, and I almost feel like we've gone backwards, especially in the truck world,
Yeah,
as far as fuel economy goes. But
I would
man,
agree.
that thing, it was big enough that you could just haul a bunch of people, and of course you get the bed behind you to haul a bunch of stuff, and
Right.
yes, it would pull stuff. So I'm a youth pastor. I've taken it on a few youth trips,
Oh, yeah.
pulling U-Haul trailers with all the kids stuff in it, while most of the kids are in a 15-passenger van. I mean, we've gone up to OKC for essentially church camp for those outside the Nazarene world, and then we've gone like up to canoe down the river.
Yeah.
Beaver's been Broken Bow, Oklahoma. So
I've road tripped my pickup a
Yeah.
couple of times also. I'm sure, well, by the time this is posted, there's been a handful of Motoring Minute videos sharing more of the woes of my pickup. But I do still love the truck. I really, genuinely love the truck.
just need
And
that
it's,
LS engine swap.
yeah. It does. It rides really, really well on the highway.
Yeah.
It's 4-wheel drive, so it's a little rougher. It's a full-size pickup, so it's
Trying to see
not.
the tires you got on it. Right?
Yeah, I've got some. What are they? They're kind of a Cooper Discover knockoff
Yeah.
kind of a tire. They're not terribly aggressive. Just a decent, mild all-terrain tire. But that 20 miles to the gallon.
not truck, huh?
No, no. I get about 10 around town.
Yeah.
And if I'm nice to it, I might get 16 on the highway. Yeah. Yeah.
That's tough.
Oh yeah. I think my dad at one point, my dad ran it, I don't know, a couple hours across Oklahoma one time, set the cruise on like 67 and got it up to like 18 and a half, 19.
Oh.
Yeah, all the way up to 19. But no, it's a great truck. I mean, it's 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
It's got a leveling kit on it, and so it's not. It's
not super aerodynamic.
yeah, no, aero is not its thing.
Last
so.
I looked, you had some wheels and tires in the back, so it's you're weighting it down too.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I've got them stacked over here in the garage now. They were 37s too. You want to talk about killing fuel mileage? Oh my.
Hauling stuff.
But it does great road tripping. The Fords, I've noticed, at least up through that body style, and some of the older ones did also, the seating position and the little dip in the door for the mirror, the view area. Like, I have my seat all the way down. I've got the power driver seat, and I have it all the way down all the time. And I'm not a tall person. I'm like 5'8", maybe 5'8 and a half. I love the view that you get, the driving position that truck puts you in is incredibly comfortable to me.
I just love the driving position of being in a truck.
Well, yeah.
Back when I had mine, I got so used to it that going to a car, I got car sick.
Oh,
if
yeah.
I was going anywhere for an extended period of time, because I just felt like I was dragging my butt on the ground.
Yeah.
And now I drive something where I'm dragging my butt on the ground. Who knew?
Well, you know.
I stepped down.
Right.
I had the Equinox, and then I had the Camaro, so I went way down.
Way down, yeah.
I came up off the ground
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit with this one, but
A couple inches.
yeah, a little more ground clearance. It's funny that you bring. So I've taken an extended road trip. So we live in Texas. Going pretty much anywhere is a road trip.
Right.
To most people. It's funny that you bring up that body style Ford, because one of our mutual friends, Daniel, let us borrow his truck once, and to say his truck is a work truck. It's a work truck. And this was not his current one, but his previous one. He had, at the time, busted out the back window on some job, and he had plastic over it. And we took that thing to Dallas and back. And after a while, that plastic flapping in the wind becomes white noise.
Yeah.
But when you're on the interstate for 2 hours, and then you finally get to a place where you come to a stop, you wouldn't believe how quiet the world is when you don't have that flapping behind you.
Yeah.
And wow. So that's my experience road tripping in an F-150. I don't think it's all that favorable.
His was an 04 or 05 crew cab, 2-wheel drive, with the same 5.4 woes that
yes.
that I have with mine.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's they're great trucks. I complain about my truck often, and rightly so, but I really genuinely love the truck
when it's working.
When it's working. A rig that we had growing up. We've talked about it several times in the past.
Yes, you have, and I already know where you're going.
The Grand Caravan.
We hate love on the minivan way too much on this podcast for some of our friends, but you know what? Deal with it.
So my son, either this year or last year, was involved with Bible quizzing at our church. There was a trip that we took. We rented 2 rigs. We were supposed to get a van, and they didn't have any, so they gave us 2 big premium rigs to go to Dallas and back with.
That's happened to me a couple times.
One of them was a Grand Caravan, and 2019 or 2020, I mean, brand spanking new, didn't have many miles on it, and I got to drive it over there. I mean, butter smooth, plenty of power, comfortable, big captain's buckets up front.
With armrests, right?
With armrests. Oh, I gotta have armrests. There's something special about those minivans and the road trips.
Yeah. That's what they're good for, hauling people. Like I said about your Pilot, nothing terribly interesting about a minivan at all.
Right.
Minivans automakers have tried for years to make them cool. I think the automaker that's tried the hardest is Nissan. The last generation Nissan Quest that they made pretty much looked like a trapezoid from whichever angle you looked at it. It was the funkiest
it was kind of
looking,
funky,
weird spaceship wannabe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, blah. But, yeah. So, I referenced it earlier. Again, being from Texas, pretty much anywhere we go of interest becomes a road trip because we live 2 hours away from Dallas, 4 hours away from Houston, 2 hours away from Shreveport, Louisiana. Like, those are the places with the major event venues and things going on. We're 5 to 6 hours, depending on who you're driving with and how you're driving from OKC. So
it's 365 miles. If you do the math, it's somewhere in there.
So I still remember my first road trip that we took. Me and my friend Lindsay. It was like a taste of freedom. Like, we got a car that was reliable enough to take far away, and we went out to the interstate and drove to Terrell, Texas, and back. Big old exciting Terrell, Texas. Nothing even really crazy. Like, we didn't stop and get out and do anything. We just went on a road trip because we wanted to get away. And like we mentioned 2 weeks ago in our music playlist episode, like, we had an awesome playlist. We were just jamming, having fun, hanging out with one another, and getting away from Tyler, Texas at the moment. We did that several times. In fact, there was one time we went down to College Station and checked out the George Bush Memorial Library on Texas A&M campus. And so one thing about my first car, it was a Cadillac Eldorado, 1991. The glove box in it, this was before passenger airbags were a thing, so the glove box actually opened up out of the dash, and it was a hole in the dash.
Okay.
And that was our snack shack. So, like, the first stop we made was somewhere to go get snacks and fill up the snack shack. And I remember I said something to her at one point that ticked her off, and she slammed that thing shut, and she goes, "Snack shack's shut. You're done. I'm cutting you off." And I was, man. But that's what road trips are about, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, the food, the memories, the people you're with, the having fun. And I will tell you, Rosita, that Eldorado did not get great gas mileage. V8 engine, it was designed in the 80s, but it was a 91 model. Bless its heart. The first time I ever took it to Dallas, before I even got to Dallas, I was getting all kinds of warning lights. Apparently the alternator was going out. And that was a fun $900 transaction my parents made over the phone so that I could get home. But yeah. So road trips, fun, memories, things like that.
Oh yeah.
You got any good road trip memories?
Well,
I've got several.
You have several. You and I road tripped to Houston a couple of times for a couple of baseball games.
Yep.
One of which was in your Camaro.
Yep.
At least one of which was in
Shortly
your Camaro.
after I had gotten it too. If
And
we had gone a little later in my time of ownership, you might have gotten to drive it.
I might have. By that point,
but she was still too new. I couldn't let go.
By that point, I was living in Oklahoma City.
Mm-hmm.
You were still in Tyler, so
That was leg 2 of your road trip.
yeah. I think I drove in. What was it? A Saturday game?
Yeah.
I drove in Friday night,
Yep.
and then we got up early Saturday
Yep.
and went on into Houston. For 2 people, that was a great road trip car.
Yep. It really was. And man, it would just move down the road. Effortlessly. Just like that word, right?
Yeah, just like the word. But yeah, I mean, I don't even remember if you have cruise control on that thing.
Yeah.
But a
It had
6th
everything.
gear, like 1,700 RPMs at 90 miles an hour, it didn't care. It just on a closed course, of course.
Right. Professional drivers
Yeah.
on the close
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good trip. But as we mentioned, Houston is a good 4 hours away from us. So in order to go down, catch a baseball game, and make it back, a little finesse with that gas pedal was necessary. I remember, oh my gosh, on the way back, by the time we got to Lufkin, I believe it was, we stopped at a Taco Bell and actually got out to eat because I was wondering how I was going to make it the rest of the way. And
Man.
I had just got in the car and I wasn't about to let you drive it. It was nothing against you.
No, I know.
She was my baby and I hadn't gotten to break it in yet. So.
Oh yeah. I made a road trip in the Civic with a buddy of mine over to North Arkansas right after it had snowed.
Oh boy.
That was fun.
that's an interesting snow vehicle.
Yeah.
At least it's front wheel drive.
Yeah, and that was a part of it. My parents offered to swap rigs with me that weekend. I forget what it was they had. It was the Equinox at that point.
Okay. I had one of those.
Which, either way, I think I'd have been fine. But I was comfortable with the Honda. I knew the Honda, a little lower to the ground, better mileage, all those types of things. So that was from Oklahoma City to Eureka Springs, basically, over in that area. I spent a lot of time on the road the last couple of years of me living in Oklahoma City because my oldest was living in Tyler.
Yeah.
And we would meet it was every 2 weeks on Thursday nights, and I'd pick him up. And then on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoons, I'd take him back. A lot of those times, graciously, my dad would drive on Thursday nights to go pick him up because he got off earlier than I did. And then I'd go down on Sunday afternoons. John and I, very close friend of mine, he would go with me a lot of times. And
having someone with you, especially on a long trip, makes the world of difference.
Certainly does. And that so we would meet in Denton at the Golden Triangle Mall. It was right at 2 hours, 45 minutes, right in there, to drive it straight through, and not a bad trip. But once you're in Oklahoma on I-35, there's nothing.
Nope.
For an hour and a half.
There is not.
Absolutely nothing. And so, having somebody with you.
Yeah.
There's
help solve the world's problems and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's.
Emily and I road tripped, my wife and I, from East Texas area, here in Tyler, to Clarksville, Tennessee, which is 600 miles. For reference sake, when you cross over the Louisiana-Texas border on I-20, headed west, it's like 680 miles to the other side of Texas. Yep. So we could have driven the same distance in the other direction
and stayed in Texas.
Still been in Texas. It was a long trip.
Yes.
But we had my oldest with us, Grant, and he was 5-ish, somewhere in there, 6-ish maybe. We left at 2 o'clock in the morning, and that was probably one of the easiest trips we've ever made. Shortly thereafter, we actually vacationed in Tennessee, over close to Nashville, or actually on the other side of Nashville. We wanted to cross as many states as we could in a day, kind of a thing. So we went Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and then up from there. And actually caught the edge of Georgia. I think we caught the edge of Georgia on the way up into Tennessee. That was fun. We left early in the morning again for that one. 10 hours on the road. So by the time the sun was coming up, we'd cleared 3 states already.
Wow.
But that was I don't even remember what rig we had. Oh, we had the Camry.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you, that rig right there, probably in my top 10 of ultimate road trip vehicles.
Well, you've already referenced it was pretty well loaded too.
Oh, it was Emily's gonna get me for this one. XLE, I think, was the high end package, or EXL, XLE. I forget It had 3 letters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So leather seats. They were actually leather gel seats. They were really nice. Loaded out, power everything. Beautiful car. We averaged 30 or 31 miles to the gallon with the cruise set above 70. I'll leave it at that. And just as comfortable as can be. Cushy ride. Yeah. AC blowing as cold as you wanted it. It was great. Loved it. That was a great road trip car.
Well, before I get into, I've got some interesting memories, including one where I almost died.
Whoa!
But before we get to that, a word from our sponsors. And we're back. Oklahoma. Your time living there. So I and some friends have come to visit you over your time while you lived up in OKC. And a mutual friend of ours, Andy. We've got to get Andy on.
We got to get Andy on.
A future episode. I know you're listening, Andy, so you're coming on a future episode, and you're going to defend this story, I'm sure. He was driving. We left late. I don't know why. It's probably my fault because I was working at Target at the time. I don't know. But we're going to go up to see y'all for a weekend. And, I mean, we left late. Because, like you said, there's a long stretch of Oklahoma where there's nothing.
Nothing.
And it's made even worse when it's pitch black outside because it's nothing.
Yep.
Anyway, the Dallas stretch of that trip is terrible. And especially at that point in time because they're always doing construction. In Houston, Austin, and Dallas, they're always doing construction.
Perpetual.
And this time was no exception. I believe they were widening 635, which is the loop around Dallas. Yeah. And now that they're finished,
oh man,
without you living up there, I haven't been that way as much. And I went back after they finished, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is nice. But it was not a nice process.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
From 80 and 635 to 635 and 35.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
Beforehand. But I believe we were on the north side of Dallas. We had already gotten to 35 or something. I can't remember exactly where we were. I just know that, again, did I mention we left late? And Andy was driving. It was his truck, so let him drive. And he may have been struggling to possibly stay awake there for a little bit. A lot of the trip. I don't know how much of the trip, but
some of it. None of it,
I don't know if he was awake or asleep, weaving in and out through traffic, but we were coming up on the back of a car, and there was an 18-wheeler in the left lane, and we were in 2 lanes at this point in time, so those were our only options. Slow down and not hit the car in front of us, or maybe just inch in there. He chose the latter, and I don't know how he fit that Nissan Titan in between that white minivan and that 18-wheeler rig coming up on us. I swear he must have brushed the front of that 18-wheeler with his trailer hitch because I was squirming in the passenger seat. I was like, oh no. By the time we got up to see you and got up to Oklahoma City, I had never been so thankful to touch the ground in my entire life. For one, again, referencing how long the trip is and that long stretch of nothing. 2, how late it was. And 3, just, Andy, you about killed me. Even if we weren't close to it, my mind thought we were, and I almost had a heart attack.
Oh, yeah.
So, That trip about did me in. Fast forward a few years, same truck, same driver. I've gotten used to Andy's driving at this point. I've heard he's always been a little bit of a wild driver, but I've gotten to experience it nowadays.
Let's pick on him while he's not on the channel. That way he has to come on and defend
exactly. I'm coming for you, Andy. You're coming on our show. And he and I had gotten tickets to Texas Rangers playoff game against Tampa Bay Rays. And so it was 2010. And my sister-in-law, I don't know if she and my brother were married yet, but my sister-in-law wanted to come along. So the three of us got tickets to a playoff game. And wouldn't you know it, that was the series. Neither home team won a single game. The Rangers won the first two in Tampa, came back, lost two in Arlington, went back to Tampa and won the series. And I'm like, by this point, I was familiar with Andy's driving. Casey, my sister-in-law, not so much. So she's in the back seat of an extended cab truck, so it's not super comfortable to begin with. And we're going through Dallas traffic, and we're going to a baseball game, something Andy and I are both very passionate about. So we're both very excited to get there. And I'm probably half asleep in the passenger seat, just thinking nothing of it. Apparently, Casey's in the back seat texting my brother, if we never make it there, just know that I love you. She was terrified.
Oh.
So it's funny, the people you're with and how long you're with them, and
Yeah.
driving styles, how you can get used to stuff.
Yeah.
Because by that point in time, like, nothing fazed me. I had faith, whether it was duly placed or not, in Andy's driving and the fact that we would get there.
Right.
And that he would make it happen. But it makes for interesting stories to tell of how I almost died, and then Casey, how she almost died. So.
Oh, that's funny. Let's shift gears a little bit. Destinations.
Yes.
What are some favorite destinations? I know we've both talked about baseball games.
Yes.
There's lots of baseball around Texas.
Yes.
Lots of football around Texas. Yes. What are some of your favorite destinations that you've gone? Like, and I realize road trips don't have to have a destination. Right. The same
like
reason
my trip to Terrell.
Like your trip to Terrell. You didn't go to Terrell.
No, we didn't.
You went.
We went to go.
Yeah. So you went so you could get out of town. But what are some of your favorite destinations that you've been to, or even some that you want to go to?
So, I also follow a channel on YouTube, Keep Your Daydream. You should check them out. They're awesome, but they're all about RVing, and they RV all over the U.S., and I want to do that.
Yeah.
It's like the ultimate road trip, right? So to answer that question of where I would want to go, everywhere. All of them, all of the places. Yes, I want to go to there. But, so some of my favorite places I'll kind of keep more or less at day trip range around Tyler, East Texas, where we are.
Yeah.
Because those are really the best. So, some place you could get to in a day.
Right.
Because, like, growing up as a kid, we road trip to Disney. And that was a 2-part trip. Like, we had to stay overnight.
Land or?
Disney World. Disney
okay.
World. So, heading over to Florida.
And then turn right.
Yes. And that was a 2-parter trip. So, I've done the overnight trips. I've told you I'm a youth pastor. We've gone places. I've been to Phoenix, Arizona in the middle of July. Oh my gosh. Of all the places to go, in July, Phoenix.
Yeah.
Been to Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
Also in the middle of July. Locals told us it was one of the hottest summers on record. I believe them. It was crazy. And the Texas boy talking here. So I've done extended trips and longer trips, but I really like the day trip. So a go-to like vacation spot for a lot of East Texans is, I referenced it earlier, Broken Bow, Oklahoma. There's Beavers Bend State Park up there. There's awesome river to canoe or kayak down. I've taken many youth trips up there. You rent a cabin, you camp in a small cabin, you can camp in a tent, you can do all kinds of things, but that's a great place.
It's beautiful up there.
Yep. I think we'll talk about it a little bit in our family episode next week, but gone to Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Yeah.
That beautiful area.
Yeah.
Truly loved it up there. Great history up there as well. And then, heading south to the beach. I love the beach. So I grew up in the Houston area.
Yep.
I grew up in LaPorte. For any of y'all familiar with the area, bless my heart.
Yeah.
Definitely not the most beautiful side of the Houston Metroplex by any means. But so I love the coast. I love the water. I'm pretty sure I was a dolphin in another life. Galveston is not a great beach, but as far as a day trip from especially where we currently live, Galveston's a great place. We've got a family vacation planned after school starts back up. If everything goes according to plan, we will be going to Surfside Beach. So
Nice.
a little bit further down the coast, hopefully
Yeah.
a little bit, I've heard, much nicer beaches.
Yeah.
So we'll see there. But can't go wrong going to the beach.
Nice. We're actually going here in a couple weeks. I don't know if this episode may actually air the weekend that we leave on vacation, or the weekend we come back, one or the other. But we're going to Galveston, specifically Crystal Beach on Bolivar Peninsula, and we're going to spend some time down there with my family and the wife's family.
Yeah.
I don't remember all the destinations exactly, but one of our family vacations was actually a job interview tour that we made. It was like 4 or 5 different churches that we went to, and my dad interviewed.
So you'll have to reference exactly what it.
Yeah, so my dad was looking for, and again, I'm trying to remember, I think we were in Texarkana, and one of the destinations was actually Tyler, the Nazarene church here in town. And so we stopped in Tyler. I know we went up into Kansas at one point.
Oh gosh.
I think there was a spot or two in Arkansas that it was a huge, there were 4 or 5 churches that we visited that my dad was interviewing for at the time. But we made it fun too. My folks included some cool little stop-off destinations here and there and things like that. And for me growing up, being a preacher's kid, finances were never in abundance.
Right.
So any opportunity that we had to stay in a hotel was always a vacation
Right.
for my sister and I. Because it was the one time that we actually got to jump on the beds. So it was somebody else's bed. Mom and Dad didn't care if we tore it up, right? So we would get to jump on the beds at the hotels, and we loved doing that.
Yeah.
Usually we'd find one with a swimming pool or something. We get to go swimming while we were there and things like that.
Makes it worth it.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier the road trip that Emily and I and Grant and Ethan took to Nashville. Well, not Nashville, but Sevierville, Tennessee. Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, and Gatlinburg. I think that's what it was. All there to Gatlinburg. All kind of right there together in that area. Beautiful countryside over there. I kind of got swindled into that one though, because most of my family, my mom and dad, my sister love the beach. My wife loves the beach, loves being in the water, around the water, anything to do with the water, they're all about it. I love cold. I like being where it's nice and cool, comfortable.
Take me to the beach.
And so after 2 or 3 beach destination vacations or something there about lake vacations or things like that, I said, I put my foot down and said, we're going to go to the mountains, dadgummit. Well, unbeknownst to me, my sister and brother-in-law at the time were living in Clarksville, Tennessee. And so Sevierville was only about 3 hours for them. We made the trip over. The week or 2 before we left, I had a conversation with the guy I was working with who used to live in that area, Sevierville area, Tennessee area. He said, well, you know why they call them the Blue Ridge Mountains, don't you? I said, no. And he said, because the humidity in the air makes them look blue. And it clicked with me that I was not going to get to go to a cool, comfortable destination that was Sevierville, Tennessee, over the 4th of July weekend, no doubt.
Yes.
I think I did just as much sweating in Sevierville as I did at the beach.
And there was no ocean or gulf to go jump in.
Nothing to go jump in to cool off either. So, I missed out on that opportunity, but it is what it is. I do have a couple of places that I would like to visit.
All right.
These are kind of dream destinations. Bonneville Salt Flats.
Yes.
And I would love to go during Speed Week and just be a spectator. I don't have to drive. I just want to see it happen. Moab, Utah.
Absolutely. But gotta have a rig.
I've gotta have something I can drive there because I'm definitely driving that one. I want to do some trails in Moab. There are
when I get my Jeep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you got a trail hawk.
So when we bought that, I looked into it. There is a few YouTube videos of a family who took one same color as ours through Moab and did some pretty serious off-roading in it.
Let's do it.
Probably not going to happen in our daily driver.
Well, you know.
Holly, don't listen.
Cadillac Garden or Cadillac
Ranch?
Yeah, where all the Cadillacs are stuck in the ground, into the ground.
So I've been there. On our trip to Phoenix, Arizona, we stopped by Cadillac Ranch.
Nice.
I signed them and put my name on them, but so apparently, like, that's a thing. Like, you spray paint them or you sign them. So who knows by this point, because that was last summer, I believe. Who knows how many layers have been tacked on since then. But that's actually a cool one.
Yeah.
So,
I want to drive. This would be an ultimate road trip. I want to drive Route 66.
Yeah.
Start to finish.
You gonna stop off in Radiator Springs?
Of course. And I don't even know that I care if it's LA to Detroit or Detroit to LA. Like, I don't even care one way or the other. I just want to say that I've driven all 2,600 miles, whatever it is, of Route 66. Any of the NASCAR speedways, Daytona, Irwindale. I've never even been to Texas Motor Speedway.
Really?
Like, for anything.
We can fix that.
Yeah. So.
But I ain't driving.
You don't want to drive on the speedway, or you don't want to drive
I'll
to get there?
I'll drive on the speedway.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to drive leaving if we're going to like a NASCAR race.
I got you.
But they do some pretty awesome events there that we definitely need to take part of, film for our YouTube channel, and put out there for you, our listeners and viewers.
Absolutely.
Some exotic car experiences and stuff like that. So
absolutely.
The
Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn. Dearborn area anyway, Detroit, to go see Motor City, to all that is Motor City. And then the Corvette Museum. I know you'd love to go see the Corvette Museum.
I've driven by it! It was so frustrating! No. So, again, a youth trip. We were going to Louisville. And and I know we've got listeners in Louisville, so I'm saying it right. Because I've been there. But we're going to Louisville, and we drove by it. I kid you not. So close, but because we were on a 15-passenger charter bus, like, there was no stopping, and it killed me. I was just let me go in. But yes, and I think that was not long after the whole sinkhole incident where the earth ate several Corvettes. Yeah. So, oh man, yes, I want to go there. But I just remember how long it took us to get there. Granted, again, traveling with 50-plus teenagers.
Right.
Adds to your time, but
that would be.
It was a trip.
We need to do that. That would be an epic road trip that we could do as a channel. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yep. So one of the things that we've alluded to several times for you, our listeners, that we want to start doing is build up our YouTube channel and not just have it be video versions of our audio podcast, but we do want to create some original YouTube-specific content for you. And we've got all the stuff ordered. And we're trying to clear our schedules to make it all happen. We've got a long list of ideas, and road trips are going to be a big part of it. Again, we live in Texas. To go anywhere, it's a road trip. So that's something to stay tuned and keep looking out for from Garage Talk. as well as car reviews.
Yeah.
So,
next week's episode, we're going to continue the conversation about road trips, but shifting gears a little bit and talking about some of the accommodations that happen when you become a dad.
We've got experiences, as we've shared in this episode, of going solo, going with friends. But next week's episode will feature all accommodations, tips, tricks, life hacks that have worked for us throughout the years traveling with kids. What do you have to do? And maybe some memories from our childhood.
Yeah.
But we want to hear back from you on this episode. What are some road trip destinations you absolutely love that we need to check out? I've already said I want to go to all of them, so build my list, please. Do you agree with some of Matt's that he threw out there specifically? I do. I want to go to all of them.
All of them.
But where are some places that we need to go on road trips? And it could be a long road trip. It could be a multiple leg road trip. I don't care. But I do want to see this great country we live in from sea to shining sea. An RV would be a great way to do it, but you can do it without. And so let us know. Hit us up on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all at gtgarage.org. You can go to our website, and that is gtgaragetalk.com. We've got links to our email. We've got a form you can fill out that emails us just the same and has links to everything that we're into and everything that we're doing, and a little history on the two of us as well.
Yeah.
But we absolutely want to hear back from you on your road trip destinations. Let us know. But until next week, bye.